meeting of the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs will come to order. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Terry LaFont.
Here.
James DeVito.
Here.
Vicki Snyder.
Here.
David Mitchell.
Present.
Joyce Zeller. Here. Dee Perkypile.
Here.
We have 6.
All right, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, brings us to approval of the agenda. Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right, I need to add 2 things. Nomination for Susan Tortolot, and I hope I said the name right, for number 2 position, Hospital Commission. And also need to add the special meeting minutes for 5/17/13 to the approval of the minutes section of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Yes.
I'd like to move item number 6 under new business to number 2 under new business.
6 to 2.
Just so everybody won't have to sit here all night long.
And also I have one more. Due to some health issues, I would like to get Mr. Michael Mary up for the Hospital Commission report before everybody else, because he shouldn't even be here actually right now. So just out of courtesy, we'll get him up and get him done.
That is 6, right?
6
Do you want to go ahead and move? I'll move to move commission reports to number 1 under unfinished business.
Okay, I think he can hold off till we get. You good?
Do you want a second on that?
Yes, I need a second.
Second.
On that, please.
Second.
Okay.
6 is now the first item?
After public
6 of
comments?
okay, hang on.
Yeah.
6 went to 2 under new business.
No, I rescinded that and moved it
Oh,
to
you did?
number 1 under unfinished business.
It's immediately after public comment.
Okay. Okay, we'll move hospital. Okay, I'm lost. Okay, we're moving
Number 6
6 new business to
the first item.
before the first item on unfinished. Okay, so 62.
1.
Okay, 6 to 1. Here we go.
And the second?
Second.
Yeah, so she seconded it. Okay, any other additions, deletions, changes, corrections on the agenda? Yes.
Move to postpone item number 2 under unfinished business to our next meeting. Unless Mr. Perkypile has something to report, there's...
My second.
Okay. 2's postponed, unfinished. Anybody else?
Unfinished business number 4 postponed. Well, it's until June. Never
I
mind.
think it's
Sorry,
already
I didn't
postponed,
pay attention.
Anybody else? No. Motion to accept is amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
You opposed? Okay. We have an amended agenda. Next is approval of the minutes for May the 13th, 2013.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any changes, deletions, corrections? Not motion to approve?
So moved.
Any
Second.
Opposed? Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay. And then we have special meeting minutes for 5/17/13.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Do we need to vote on those or just? Okay, let's go back to May 13th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Special meeting minutes 5/17/13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Minutes. All right. Commission, let's start with Michael. Get him out of here.
Thank you, everybody, for adjusting the situation for my circumstances.
Would you like to sit down and talk into the mic? Would that be more comfortable?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Just had a recent surgery and a little tender. Pass these around if you would. And one street, Mr. Mayor. What I'm passing around is our audit report for the Hospital Commission for the year of 2012. Now, you folks can go over the written data at your leisure, but predominantly it is specific instruction about the information and the numerical data. So I'll go over it real briefly with everyone. If you'll turn to the third page, the first page with numbers on it. And the first issue is our assets with a total of $1,229,000 plus dollars. These are distributed throughout several local banks. More than one of them are in excess of the FDIC protection, so we have additional protection to another firm in order to keep those dollars in our local banks. Our fixed assets refer to specifically the hospital building and some small amount of equipment that the hospital utilizes that belongs to the commission. The land, the building, fixed equipment, movable equipment, totaling $51,970. We can go on to the next page. Get mine turned. The liabilities and equity are net assets of $989,000 and our current income of $292,000 annually. The latter figure adjusts generally upward as the lease figure for our home health care increases each year. So our income, frankly, is just under $300,000 a year through the two leases. The first lease, of course, is with Allegiance Healthcare, the group that is running our hospital, at the tune of $15,000 a month, totaling $180,000 for the year, and our home health care, which is $172,000 in 2012. In 2013, it increased by $10,000. So next year's audit will represent the new figure. On the next page, our revenue explains our two leases. It includes a $7,400 investment income, and that is the interest paid on our various CDs and bank accounts. Total revenue for the year was $359,569. Now, below that is our operating expenses. Our legal fees for 2012 was $18,000. Most of that is incurred in questioning our attorneys for appropriate actions that we are considering taking involving the possibility of building a new hospital and issues involving what we can do with the funds that we do have and how we can manipulate them. Those funds in the bank, by the way, are extremely restricted by state constitution as to how we can utilize them. We have the potential for creating opportunities for students that would like to go into the medical field and work in our community that live here, but it generally reflects a need to be spent on Eureka Springs citizens. The biggest figure in that column is our depreciation of $48,791. The very large majority of that number is related to a CT scanner that the commission bought several years back, and it has become so outdated it's been sitting in a back room for a considerable amount of time. We finally found a group that would come and get it at no expense to us, and the depreciation for that piece of equipment is finalized and won't show up again on any further audits. It's now completely depreciated and gone. Total operating expenses then was $67,000. The large majority of it represented in depreciation of equipment, building, land, what have you, but predominantly that CT scanner. Our net income for the year, $292,000, and change is in reference to the two lease amounts that we have minus the operating expenses. So first off, I'd ask if anyone has any questions, hopefully that I can answer. I do have the opportunity of bringing Mr. Wendell in if there are questions that are beyond my scope as far as accounting. Sir.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, Mr. Murray, I see here the finances were fine and the legal fees, and it looks like so far the hospital has been leased to Allegiance since '07, so you're going on about 7-year lease. And I think it was a 5-year renewable lease.
It's a 5-year renewable lease for 2 renewal options for a total of 15 years.
So there's only about 3 years left then on the current lease with Allegiance, and that would be the last lease with Allegiance, correct?
No, there is an
There's one
additional
more?
lease following the option.
Okay. Okay. And at this time, I understand in June that Rock Bordelon will be coming down to have a much more firmer discussion with you about the future of his company actually building independently from the city a new hospital. Is that still on the burner?
Absolutely. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, that was my second point of discussion that I was going to
Okay.
get to.
All right.
Um,
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll turn it to you.
Thank you. Which brings up the potential for the new hospital. A new hospital in Eureka Springs is going to cost $12 to $15 million minimum to accommodate the licensure that we have and to serve our community. As you can see in our audit report, the commission is sitting on approximately $1.3 million with an income of about $250,000 a year. In short, we have no chance of being able to build a hospital on our own. The options for building a hospital are varied. We can run bond issues, we can increase taxes or create a tax specifically for that purpose, none of which realistically is likely to go through for the community. The other option for building a hospital in Eureka Springs is to bring in a corporation or the corporation we're currently doing business with and have them build a hospital that would belong to them, they would operate, and be our community hospital, which is the direction that the commission believes is frankly our only realistic option of acquiring one. We are currently renegotiating or in negotiations with Allegiance Healthcare, and I was hoping a representative of Allegiance would be here tonight, but he was uncertain whether he could be. In our last meeting, we visited with them. We've been discussing a variety of options that we might approach in order that the commission benefit Allegiance in a legal fashion within the narrow limits of our ability to spend money, and subsequently Allegiance building the facility that we need. Rock Bordelon and Allegiance have theoretically implied that they would be willing to build a hospital for us. Now, they are currently discussing the land options that are available to them, and they're discussing the structure style of the hospital with the commission, and of course that will have to come in front of the city council as well, as the type of construction will be critical to city council. As it stands right now, the general assumption is that yes, indeed, they are going to start construction of a new facility. The problem being that the current facility is one that cannot be maintained throughout even the potential lease term that we have with Allegiance. The Commission knows that, and Allegiance Healthcare knows that. So, because Allegiance appears to want to stay in Eureka Springs, it looks to me like we're going to work something out. There will probably be a financial arrangement between the Commission and Allegiance Healthcare. As it stands right now, it appears that that would be through an indigent care fund that we could establish to benefit citizens of the city through the hospital. That would allow the hospital to have an additional income through unpaid bills that the Commission would take care of. With that in mind, it gives the Allegiance the incentive to consider the possibility of construction.
Be sure when you're doing that it's not at their charge rate, their full charge rate, but it's at discounted rate, please.
Most definitely.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, the accounting of that process has not really come to term yet, but it's going to have to be very, very specific and very pointed towards the citizens of Eureka. In other words, people that live outside of the city limits that can't pay their bills, this money won't be able to be utilized in that fund. Yes, please.
Years ago, when the new clinic was being built out on Passion Play Road, at that time it was stated that there was land there with the clinic for when a new hospital got built. Am I the only one who remembers this?
Oh, absolutely
Everybody
not.
I've talked to, nobody seems to know.
That particular piece of property is one of two that the Commission has been considering. However,
Okay.
I believe Allegiance is going to take that out of our hands and make their own choice.
Well, I was just wondering if it was still available and if they even knew about it.
It is still available. There's another piece of property that is across from the Exxon on the east side of town that belongs to a consortium. I believe the Epleys are a large portion of that. It's a much larger piece of land, and from my perspective, would give the corporation building the hospital much more options to expand. However, as I understand it now, that piece of property and the one next to the police station and across from the clinic are the two sites that are in consideration.
Okay.
Although a decision hasn't been made by them, I don't believe.
Last question. I think you've been doing an excellent job since you've been chairperson of the commission. You've moved the issue of the hospital off of a status quo and you've moved it to some action, and that's appreciated very much. The fact that the city is looking at allowing the hospital to move to a private entity who will totally take it over, be totally accountable for recruiting doctors, managing the hospital, in essence taking the city out of the hospital or healthcare business is a remarkably smart move in this day and age. And the commission is wise to be paving the way for them to take that totally over and getting out of the business. Smart move.
Honestly, the Commission is very aware of the fact that we have no business being in the business of running a hospital. The Commission doesn't have the resources to begin with. The last time the Commission was responsible for hospital issues, we were going into debt trying to make payroll. So, yes, without a doubt, in order for a hospital to exist in Eureka Springs in our future, it's going to have to be a corporately owned facility, simply because the city doesn't have the kind of dollars necessary to perpetuate it themselves. Ma'am.
Is there enough business in this area to make building a hospital feasible, or is this hospital going to get built and then find out that it can't be sustained with the amount of business that is coming into it? In other words, is the thought that a hospital is a viable possibility, is that based on some sort of projections for future growth? Or
Well, I'll
is
make
that as
2
it is
points
now?
on that, ma'am. First off, Allegiance Healthcare, the leaseor of the facility, renewed their lease, implying to me that they are indeed making a profit in our current facility, or they couldn't justify being there. So, our licensure is very specific to the bed size, the type of ER. Frankly, it defines the entire structure of the hospital, whether it's going to be a big one or a small one, whether it's going to have operating rooms and 24-hour ER. And within those limitations, I believe that Allegiance Healthcare feels that it's a justifiable expense for the potential income that they are looking at. Now, to truly answer your question, a great deal of research would have to be done to determine specifically what type of facility would be most maximized in the city of Eureka Springs. But frankly, our hospital is defined by our licensure, and it's the same licensure as the facility that we've been running for many, many years. So I believe, to answer your question, is yes, indeed, a new structure built to conform to our licensure would be profitable for the operator.
Okay.
Joyce, the hospital here is a critical care access hospital, and as such, it's allowed to do charges at 100% in the reimbursement. And the benefit for Allegiance, or a company, to be in this city in a critical care access hospital is the pass-through. They can bring a lot of their corporate cost and shift them. They do cost shifting up, and then it passes through in the Medicare report, and they get reimbursed for it. So they take a lot of the functions and centralize them down in Shreveport, Louisiana, I think is their main location.
Yes.
And because then they parcel them out to the various critical care hospitals that they have, and then they pass it through on the cost report. So this hospital is a benefit to somebody like that on the basis that they're getting reimbursed quite well. It's not necessarily that they're making money off of those 5 or 6 patients laying in one of those beds.
Oh, okay.
And they likewise have a little bit of surgical. But truthfully, in a small acute care hospital like this, with a small lab and a little bit of radiology they do, and a lot of the patients per diem rate, they're really not making a lot of money off of the patients laying in the bed. But there's a lot of other ways that
Okay.
they have access
Well,
to.
it makes a little
Thank
more
you.
sense that way.
Anybody else? Anything else, Mike?
That covers what I came in to visit with you all about. Thank you for listening to me, and please send any questions you might have towards my commission. We're available to all of you.
Thank you for giving in.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Take care of yourself.
By the way, thank you for the compliment. I hope it works out so that a new facility can back that up.
Just get to work on it.
You can count on it. Good night, folks.
Thank you, sir. Beverly, you are up next. Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission, I just need to tell you that at our next meeting, we have a new construction review for 5 Judah Street. It's a AT&T construction shed at the site. And we are also looking into scheduling a workshop to look at all the definitions in our zoning code. So that's what we're up to.
Thank you, ma'am. CAPC report, Mike Maloney. He's out there. Oh, Mike Maloney. Good evening. You can adjust that to your... There, no, that's good. Well, I can't get hold of it. There it is. Hands are sweaty.
Thank you.
in the interest of brevity, I'm going to go ahead and just pass this sheet around. Actually, there's 6 sheets in here, and I'm going to talk very generally about CAPC, what direction we're heading, without getting down into all the nuts and bolts and every little bit. I wanted to go ahead and talk about the 5 strategies that we employ at the CAPC so that you'll have a kind of a general understanding of where we are, where we're going, and what we're trying to do. And we spend a lot of time analyzing our markets, the markets that we're trying to go ahead and reach. So in some of our strategies, what we're trying to do is to protect and maintain the volume in some of our regional markets. We're also trying to reach our visitors in some of these new regional markets that we're entering into, expanding our market segments and our seasonal coverage in drive-around markets, the deep at some of our efforts in additional regional markets, and develop technology platforms to help reach those people. The tools that we use basically in our advertising, in no particular order, but I think they do have a little bit of credence here, are television, internet, search engine marketing, public relations, print advertising, radio advertising, outdoor billboard, and airport advertising. You'll see our advertisements, for instance, at XNA. You'll see them up in Branson. But talk for just a second about TV and why TV is so important for us. It represents 40% of the advertising that we do. And I've given you a little bit of a list of the markets that we're in right now. These include Kansas City, Little Rock, Omaha, Wichita, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, the Dallas-Fort Worth market, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, through Bentonville along the I-540 corridor. We're also in Springfield, Branson, St. Louis, and we started last year working a little bit in northwest Louisiana. We've seen some pretty good results. We spend approximately $600,000 a year of real money in advertising, and again, 40% of that money is devoted basically to TV advertising. So TV does really go ahead and take the lion's share of the money that we spend. 20% of the advertising that we do, and we have started again a rather rapid and fast-paced advertising approach with the internet, evolves around reaching new markets with our internet advertising. We teamed up with a company called 121 Digital, which is a subsidiary of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and they're providing backbone and resources for us that heretofore we've never really been privileged to go ahead and have. Some of these things will include very shortly a brand new mobile type of website that you'll be able to use, not an application, but a real mobile website. And we're doing some very, very interesting things with what's called geo-targeting and geo-fencing, and I'll let you go ahead and read about those within this report. We haven't forgot about print advertising at the CAPC, though it does represent a little bit less each year. We found that print advertising in the region is a very difficult thing to get a big handle on because there is just so much of it. And because of the fact that the market is so big, we again have devoted more of our advertising strength in the television area, which we have much more control on. A couple of things that we do look at very seriously within the TV area is brand advertising and event advertising. This year we're creating some specific new brand ads that cover the seasons: summer advertising, fall advertising, and winter advertising. But these are also in rotation with some of the events that we work on. And event advertising are things like May Festival of the Arts, the Blues Fest, the Bluegrass Festival, Oktoberfest, and so forth. So what you're going to see is when you see Eureka Springs advertising, you're going to see different types of messages. And this is not only to go ahead and give the audience a little bit more to look at, but it also helps fatigue. We all hate to see the same commercial run over and over and over and over again. So we break that up with continuity by going ahead and replacing spots on a frequent basis, but also using some of the generic spots that we have, such as the branding spots, to go ahead and reinforce the position that we have in the marketplace. I've attached on the last 3 pages just a little bit of the overview of where we are financially. And this will answer, I think, probably a lot of questions that people have had in reference to, where is the CAPC in terms of its money. And what I've done is, just for your convenience, I've kind of highlighted 3 areas, the first page and the third page. In our collections from January 1st to May 29th of this year, we collected $315,000. In 2012, we collected $325,000. It's a difference of just a little less than $10,000. So the net change is about minus 2%. But I think what you look at, and this is why I want you to go to page 3, if you will, very quickly, is you notice even though there's a slight decrease in the amount of money collected, the amount of money that it took to get there is substantially less. We spent $194,000 in 2013 thus far, where at the same period last year we'd spent $231,000 to achieve essentially a 2.9% result. So what we're doing is we're spending about the same amount of money, but we're spending less money to get there. So in a perfect world, that's kind of the scenario you want. You want to be able to go ahead and maintain your image, your brand, and so forth, but you want to do so with less money. So that helps explain, I think, a little bit of the perception that people say that, well, gosh, the CAPC is not doing much advertising. Well, we're doing the same amount of advertising. We're just doing it for less money. I think that's the ultimate. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. Mr. Mitchell?
Page 1, sir, under
Yes.
income. Looking over at January through May of this year compared to 12, looking at not restaurant collections, but looking at hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, cabin, and suites, taking the hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, the percent of change, all three are reduced by, if you take all three of those hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, that's a 32% drop in revenue from those sources. Restaurant collections got up 1%, and cabins, cottages, and suites went up 6.6%. Yet the money didn't change. It actually, there's, even with that 32% between those three, the revenue, it didn't go down that much. Why is that?
The revenue didn't go down that much?
I mean, there's not that much difference in the revenue between the same period in 12 and 13, even though the percent of change for those three is 32% down. The revenue is only 2.9% off. Is that because there was price increases or something?
Well, there's a little bit of that is probably to be expected because there were some increases. Now, you have to take in consideration in 2012, we also had approximately $40,000 in additional income because of tax on spirits.
Okay.
So there was a change in the amount of monies that were collected, but that was only applicable to the year of 2012 when we started charging for, we'd been charging for beverages, but in this particular case we started charging for spirits.
So, and that will show up in the hotel motel collections?
No,
No, okay.
No, it does not.
Just the restaurant?
just the restaurants, right.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're broken out, motels, hotels, and so forth, while they
Yeah.
may have a license, don't necessarily count those in the same way.
Okay.
Anybody else? Mr. McClung.
Mike, you might tell them that what months this actually is applicable to as far as your collections.
Okay, we are always a month behind. So what you're looking at in terms of actual monies, these are monies that were collected through April 30th of 2013, not necessarily May of 2013. So we're always 30 days in arrears. So, for instance, our first month of counting actually becomes December of the previous year. So we look at our months from December through the end of November.
Mr. Arena.
Just one point too, when you're dealing with this first quarter numbers and particularly the first 3 months of the year, if you look at percentages alone, it might appear like Mr. Mitchell said, 30-some%, but when you look at actual revenues, it's a rather small number because collections are small during that time of year, so just a few $1,000s one way or another can swing percentages quite a bit. I'd be alarmed if they were during June and October, but during the first quarter, I would say look more to the revenues and not at the percentage differences, because a few $1,000s one way or another can swing 5, 6, 10%.
Well, it did, yeah. You're right.
Anybody else? Mr. Perkypile, you had your hand
No.
up?
I have a question, yeah. I have a question about the website. And the only reason I brought it up is because I've had 2 phone calls this last month from customers who, I don't know how they found me, but they called me to find out what was going on in June. And I said, well, go to the website and find out. And they said, well, there's nothing on the website about what's happening in June. And I looked and I couldn't find anything about June or July or August.
Okay, what we are doing right now, and that's an excellent question. Beginning next week, you will start to see more activity on the website. We have changed our website provider, and we are just going through what is called the wireframe stages of that right now. The company that we were with was kind of like a giant battleship. They were hard to work with. So we have changed the provider. The new company is working on that wireframe right now. We took a look at the test last Friday. We're very pleased with the results of what we're seeing. So we will be inputting new materials, catching up the rest of the year, starting next week.
Well, is it your intent then to, because most people plan their vacations like 12 weeks in advance.
Sure.
Is it your intent to have information that far in advance so they can, for instance, if they're thinking of coming here in August, will there be something there?
We will go ahead and plug in information as we have it through the rest of the year and on into 2014.
Okay.
Ben, Mr. Corn.
Yeah, Mike, also, there was the concern not too long ago about I don't want to call it insolvency, but concern about revenue being there and the possibility of the CAPC having to get a line of credit or something to interimly short-term cover expenses. But we have passed through that. Is that correct?
That's correct. We made the decision that we felt like because we were moving into the season, so to speak, that we would be able to go ahead and work through with our vendors, any situation that might be a problematic situation. And consequently, we have not had to go ahead and borrow any money to do that. So, we are really regaining our strength and rebounding quite well. So, I would project that probably by July, we'll have a firm handle and probably some reserves that we can work with.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let me back up just a minute to the hospital commission. We also put on there, you should have an application for Susan, and I hate to keep saying her last name and get it wrong, Tortolo, for the position number 2. Consider her for nomination. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the attorney. Do you have to be a registered elector only for city council or for any of our commissions?
The hospital commission does not require them to be.
Okay.
County.
Okay, wanted to verify that. Thank you.
All right. That moves us on to Parks, Mr. Bruce Levine. There you are. Can you reach that high? Mike Maloney.
Good evening, all. I was asked to give a report today about our goals for this year, and I got to looking at this, and I realized I wonder if anybody's really interested in these little things that we do, and so I wanted to preface this by saying my management style at Parks is that with so much to do and so few employees, I ask all of our people to celebrate every day the small accomplishments that they do. Our gardens, we cut the grass out of the ball fields, we put new seed out, we fertilize, and we do a lot of little things that I think cumulatively show an effect on the look and feel of our town. And I hope that this small report of small things that we do reflects that, and maybe you all can understand. Small things like our soccer scoreboard. The Community First Bank offered to put in a soccer scoreboard for us. We spent several months putting in electric line. The 4 of us at Parks lifted up the poles, cemented the posts in, put the scoreboard up, got the electrician to wire it, and it works. And the horn goes beep, and they're just tickled to death, and we're thrilled, that the community got involved and helped us to put in a scoreboard that they've been lacking for 7 years at no cost. We plan this year to repaint Crescent Gazebo right by the library, and that's in partnership with the Preservation Society, who is going to fund the entire project of repainting. If many of you remember, 20 years ago, it was stripped with a blowtorch and a scraper, and after 20 years, it needs a little work. We want to change the colors, and we think it's going to be a great addition to our community. Caleb Springs, right down the road next to the museum. For a long, long time, Donnie has been looking to change the look of that park, make it more maintenance friendly. And we went to the Historic Commission, and we've been through the Parks Commission, of course, and have decided to build new flower beds and to put in new surfacing, new sidewalk, and we hope that'll be another attraction for people, residents, and both. Oh, and a chessboard, just like the big city, where folks can sit there in the shade and play chess or checkers. Lake Leatherwood City Park Road. Last year, I was pleasantly surprised to see that there were enough people interested in the improvements out at Lake Leatherwood to vote us in a 1/8 sales tax, which should garner us about $100,000 a year, $400,000 total. We have yet to receive a dime and won't until 2 months from now. But we've gotten a grant from the Game and Fish, or been promised. We have some contacts with the State Highway Department, also may help fund it. So if things work out, maybe we'll wind up only having to pay a third of the $183,000 that it's going to cost to repave the road. Master planning for Lake Leatherwood City Park, that is ongoing. The mayor is on our committee to start putting together this master plan that we have a draft of, and I hope everyone has seen it. And we think it's all inclusive. We think there's something for everybody there. And when we get things honed down, then we can begin to spend the money that we've promised we would spend in conjunction with the Lake Leatherwood Master Plan. Historic District Trail Planning. Now, us old folks, I think, may not realize how many people come to our town and look to walk our trails. Myself, I need to put 2 knee braces on to walk to the mailbox, but these folks who come through town, and you see they've got 2 kayaks on top, they've got 2 bicycles on the back, and they're looking for things to do. And as are the people in our residents who want to get from Harmon Park to Hart's Grocery and be able to traverse, some on sidewalk, some on single track in the woods, get different views of the town that they may never have seen. I know I've been in different places in town on these trail proposals that I've never seen that view of town, and that's something that we can offer to our residents and to our city. And I think trails are going to be big. They're inexpensive to build, they're inexpensive to maintain, and they provide a lot of bang for the buck. And finally, we received a grant towards that end for $40,000 from the Highway Department to go from Harmon Park to along Spring Garden, probably about halfway. And Spring Garden is that road that goes behind the Riders Colony and parallels Spring Street. And finally, the dog park. We hope this year we'll have a dog park in Harmon Park. And all these little things we hope will make a big difference in it. Are there any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, don't have any HDC report. Mary Ann Pownell was going to be here to give the report in person, but she actually wound up giving the report in email, and everybody should have a copy of that. So if you have any questions, we can address those at a later time. All right, that moves us into public comments. Do we have a list here? Is this yours?
For my
Oh, okay.
It did. That's good. We got reports.
Oh, this is good. Mr. Bob Jasinski's first on the list.
Back again. I got a handout here for you all. And since you're going to be discussing, I understand, rules and regulations with regard to the illegal weekly rentals, I thought you might be interested in looking at what the code says about issuing of licenses. First of all, I'd like to point out that a license is not required for non-transient tenant agreements. There is no business license for it. A license is required for tourist lodging, and that's set forth in the fee schedule here in 43604, which I'm handing out now. It provides for a license for tourist lodging in 86 for 1 to 10 units and 86 for 11 to 25 units. The so-called 199 license is for all services and businesses not otherwise listed. And presumably, you cannot pull a license to run an illegal business. So in other words, these people that are renting to tourists should never have been issued a 199 license to begin with. Number two, the proper license is the 86 license. So in effect, they have misrepresented what they intend to do to the clerk of the city. Now, with regard to the lawsuit, I think I've emailed all of you the memorandum of law in support of a writ of mandamus and a request for declaratory relief, which I intend to file because after speaking with the mayor, it appears, since he's not gotten back to me, he has absolutely no intent of enforcing the law that is on the books. This is something that should have been done by the so-called weekly rental people. If they had any question as to the legality of weekly rentals, they could have filed a declaratory judgment action in the court, which is what I'm going to have to do now, and request a writ of mandamus to ask the judge to order the mayor here to enforce the law as written in the city. This will solve any lingering doubts or problems with regard to the illegality or legality of what these people are doing. And they know what they're doing is illegal. And if you have any questions with regard to that, I will stick around. But the lawsuit is basically prepared. I emailed you a copy of it. I don't know whether you want to read the memorandum of law. But basically, this will settle any unsettled issues in your mind. So, and you know, as far as passing rules and regulations to regulate an illegal business, I think that's a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. As for a moratorium, it's totally unnecessary. You don't need a moratorium because, as outlined here, these 199 licenses for tourist lodging should have never been issued to begin with. A moratorium actually in effect, gives some support to the argument of that what they're doing here is somehow legal. It's illegal, it's illegal, it's illegal. I remember there was one fellow on TV every week who used to say with regard to the immigration problem, what is it about illegal that you don't understand? Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Jerry Landrum?
Hi, everyone. Jerry Landrum, speaking on behalf of the Citizens Climate Action Progress Committee. First, I wanted to thank all the business owners, several of whom are in this room, who have been working with the utility companies' contractor-administered energy efficiency program. That's great, and they try to get projects going that'll have a payback to you, of only a couple of years, and they've got some real good incentives there for you. Tonight, item 10 on your agenda is a resolution supporting a national revenue-neutral carbon tax to curb climate change, and that's very, very important. We're signatory to the U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement, and one of the things we're supposed to do on that is to strive to reduce the emissions ourselves, which of course we're doing through our greenhouse gas reduction climate action plan here, and also to advocate to state and federal governments that they adopt policies that will help to curb greenhouse gases. This proposed carbon tax with our dividend back to all the legal residents would help us with our climate action program projects 3, which is a feed-in tariff, 4, renewable portfolio standard, and 5, progressive inclining block rate structure. And so all those 3 projects are just attempts to put a price on the carbon emissions. And so this national carbon tax would do that in a way that doesn't encourage leakage. If we were to try to do a gas tax here, people would drive to Berryville to fill up their tanks. So if it's nationwide, it's much, much, much better. Also on the agenda tonight is an initiative to increase the requirement on commercial recycling, and that's very, very important. I'm really glad that that's on there. That's increased recycling is Project 8 on our climate action plan. Regarding the carbon tax, it is on the table in the Senate Finance Committee. So it's a long shot, but if a number of communities do what I'm proposing that we do, there's just a chance that we might be able to shake something loose in the Senate Finance Committee. Also, the Eureka event is coming up this summer, August 9th through the 11th, and we need volunteers to help with that event, and you can contact me or Diane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, Mr. Joe Joy. Come up.
Joe Joy, 265 Spring Street. I'm here to speak about weekly rentals. I'm here because I'm hearing things being said at the meetings that just really don't make any sense at all from what we understand. Approximately a year ago, Beverly, the chair of the Planning Commission, came before this body and said that we have a problem. Weekly rentals are legal in the city of Eureka Springs. Okay? We followed up on that. We hired an attorney, Mr. Matt Bishop, who represents us. He's talked to the city attorney twice that I know of. We've talked to administrators in this city on a number of occasions. We have documents stating exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, and that it's perfectly legal. And I'm really getting tired of hearing that I'm doing something illegal. It's not right. My wife was the mayor of this city for 4 years and upheld the laws of this city and their ordinances, and for somebody to sit here and say that we're breaking the law is very upsetting to me and to her. And it's very inappropriate. Okay, we've been doing this for a year. We've been doing it with the guidance and the help of the city. They've told us how to do it so that we are within the law. We are operating as tenant landlords. Okay, we are not operating as innkeepers with transient or tourist guests. We're doing exactly what we were told we could do. Now, I see that you have a problem here, and you might want to correct it, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, we have a property right that you're trying to take away from us, and we're not going to stand for it. We're really not. There's been a lot said that's really inappropriate. We have totally worked with this city on this issue. We believe we're totally right. You might want to change it, but I wouldn't try changing it for us because we were told we could do this. And the other matter is the 199. I heard said at this table, well, they think they can just go run a business because they got a 199? Hey, we got a 199 because we were told by the city we needed a 199. So we went and did it. And not only did we do it, we did it, we paid our $50. We got a refund back after there was a moratorium and a vote by the previous body that sat here, and then they gave us a renewal notice and we went and got another license. So we've done exactly what the city's asked us to do. So I want you to consider that and think about it when you decide what kind of legislation you want to put on this matter. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. That'll end public comment. Moves us into unfinished business. Number 1, digitizing paper documents. Continue from last time. Motion to discuss.
So moved. Second.
Ed, come on up.
The last time that I came in, I know that we had, for the digitizing of the documents, that it was supposed to be put out to the finance director. I don't know if anything has come of that. I haven't been given any information, and I wasn't emailed or let know of anything that had been talked about or discussed, or I didn't know where the status was on it. If it was...
Lonnie couldn't be here tonight, so I can't answer the question.
Can we postpone this then, since we don't know either?
Yes.
He was looking in.
And let's Diane.
Lonnie said that he texted me said that he had the money to pursue what he didn't say what account. He said that he's spoken with the mayor's office and that was not. He said he had the money to pursue. It'd be better to do it 2 years.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear anything she said?
Yeah, I was going to say
He
this.
said that Lonnie indicated he had the money to pursue.
Oh, he did. Okay.
And to do a 2-year.
2-year was
For a
better
2-year,
than one.
A 2-year contract is better than 1-year contract. Correct, Diane?
Okay.
To do what?
Digitize public documents.
This is digitization of our documents.
Oh, I
All of our paper documents.
But we
So
decided
apparently,
to do that
the
last
money is
time.
there.
Okay.
So
We did
I
decide
just
to do
need to
that
you
be
call
last time.
Lonnie tomorrow and see where you need to start.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as the, y'all wanted to see the last time, y'all wanted to see a demonstration of the little town hall area, the comment section that was going to be done on the website?
Sure.
Do y'all want to see that? Okay. Good.
I don't know how well y'all will be able to see it, but I was able to get into the internet, so. What this is I've gone into the back end through a login, so even though this looks like it's live on the website right now, it's not. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear. I went ahead and finished up because to do the demo, it's got to be able to save the information and then, show y'all what it does. Say, for instance, what I've done is gone in and made a temporary post in the system. It's just basically a welcome to the Eureka Springs Town Hall with a little message there. Basically, all this does is you guys ask a question, and then the only thing that they can do is comment. It's not a back and forth bickering session. It's if the city needs to ask a question or get feedback from the general public, they can go here. They can have a question that was posed by the city council or by, whatever other entity within the city that is needing, to get some public feedback. And then they can be hit the post button or the comment button here and be able to post their comments, whether they're for it, against it, what their thoughts on the idea are, whatever the case may be. When they go to post, it will ask for their name, it'll ask for their information, their email address, and therefore you have that information. So then the post will be made available for people to be able to see. Now, if at any time you get ready to close this, you can turn it off. You can literally go into the back end. Diane knows how to go into the back end through the admin system for the website, and you can hide the individual posts. It's just a matter of clicking a button and turning it off. So if it's a particular discussion that gets long, drawn out, heated, or it's something it's off the table, y'all aren't taking any more comments on it, you've already made your decision what you're going to do, or you have enough information to make your decision, you can go in and hide that from the general public so that it can't be read anymore, or you can turn off the comments section. So therefore it would have the question that was posed, it'll have the comments listed there, but it's basically closed. No more comments can be taken on that particular subject. So it is regulatable. It is not like a forum or an outcry for a battleground. You guys can, it's very easy to maintain this type of a system. Now, whereas I know that it came up the last time about forums can get really out of control, yes, they can, because then you have people making topics to contradict what it is that was, and then you end up with people just posting, 1,000 things dealing with it. This is not like that. They cannot post a topic. The only thing that they can do is comment on a topic that is open. If the topic is not open, they can't comment on it. They can read it, but they can't do anything else with it. So if it becomes something that you want to stop,